Yeah, I think I know what you're thinking. AI is not going to affect me. It's not going to take my job. It's not going to take creativity, right? But what if it does? Let's think about that. My name is Josh. I am the lead vocalist for the bands Divine Fallacy and WolfSic. Currently, Divine Fallacy is sitting at about 9,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which of course is a vanity metric, but we do get about 20,000 streams per month. And so we are now at that stage in our streaming career where we're starting to make enough money to pay for some of our stuff just off of streaming alone, which is cool. Because usually when you start, you get a couple of years where it's like you get $3, $4 if you're lucky in a month, right? You're a musician and you've spent, I don't know, how old are you? 20, 30, 40 years, maybe even longer, writing songs the old-fashioned way. You think about a concept, you think about some lyrics, maybe you write some stuff on a guitar, strum some chords, and before you know it, you've got something put together, right? Okay, well, there's a new way that things are happening. And it might destroy what you're doing. It might stop you from living out your dreams. So unless you know what to do in order to combat that from being a thing, how are you supposed to make music confidently that other people may or may not consume, right? So the thing about AI, and this is I've had a lot of conversations with people. I think that AI has its place as a tool more than anything, but I think that the fact that human beings like to take an easy way out is a very real thing. And you're going to see a massive part of this movement be people who get really good at writing prompts and they have songs that get a lot of streams. That's going to happen. It's already happening. It's happened with, I think my favorite that I've read on the internet is referring to them as the Velvet Underpants. It's a good one. But the thing about AI is I see services like Suno as like a massive tool in your toolbox if you're using that stuff correctly. Okay. So if you're using Suno in a way that I would deem to be, I don't know, acceptable, do we want to talk about it in the way that's like based on integrity? Like probably not, right? Like if we talked about integrity in the music business, all of your, not all of your, but a lot of your favorite artists would be completely wiped off the map. So it's not about that, but what it's about is preserving the integrity of the art. Right? I think we can all agree on that. So if you're using Suno or any of these other services that are meant to create, other music that's based on other people's work, I think the best way that you can possibly do that is get really good at writing prompts about what kind of song it is that you're trying to write. And that's going to regurgitate some process stuff that's based on other people's work. That's going to give you a feel for something, maybe a couple of ideas for a riff, but like you shouldn't be just ripping that one-to-one, right? And there is the case of should or shouldn't, and I understand that it's not about that necessarily for most people. It's about what's going to make them money or get them clout, get them attention. Like all of that is real, but it becomes such a powerful tool if you're utilizing Suno to generate ideas and then riff off of that until you've got a new song. I think that that's a perfectly acceptable way of doing things because, in my opinion, that's not a whole lot different than listening to your favorite artists on Spotify and saying, this inspires me, I want to do something with this, right? There's a line you can cross where it becomes too much, but I think that it's very real to say, if you're using those services in a way that's going to help you be creative, there's nothing wrong with that. Same with like ChatGPT and any of these other, Claude, any of the other service providers where AI is concerned from a creativity standpoint. I personally am not very good at like writing social media hooks and things like that. I understand how social media hooks work. I know what the goal is. I even know what the stats that I'm looking for are for the most part at this point in my career. But what I don't know is hooks that I can come up with off the top of my head, right? So that's where ChatGPT comes into play. I think if you utilize it in that fashion and say, give me 50 hooks and take the 20 strongest and riff off of those, right? Like I'm not saying don't copy one-to-one because certainly I've done the same thing. I think everybody has. But usually I'm looking and saying, okay, I understand the concept of this, but it doesn't represent what I'm trying to say specifically. So how can I tailor this to be, more up that alley? And even getting down to video editing softwares, there's a ton of AI options that put you in a spot where you can make more faster. And that's really, I think, what the goal is to be creative at a faster pace. So I have started to embrace, just over this last 2 months, the use of AI. I was super resistant to it over the last year. And if you look at the stats for my band, you'll see like over the course of time that I've been running these social media, like there's a gradual and a noticeable like kick up in the quality of material, the type of, content and metrics that I'm seeing in return. So I'm clearly learning, but now it becomes, how do I fit this into my life, right? Like, how do I post enough of this that enough people are going to pay attention that like I'm not a year from now having posted once a week at 1,400 followers instead of 1,300, even though followers don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much progress am I going to make it for this to actually be worth all of this time that I'm spending on it? Because editing takes a long time if you don't know what you're doing. And posting can take a really long time. And then let's not even like, that's before you get into all the stuff that you should be doing once you start getting responses, which is like responding to people, interacting with people, building a fan base, building connections and relationships and rapport with these people. If you're not doing that, you're almost posting for no reason, right? And I'm starting to learn that too. So that's why I'm starting to integrate some of these things that AI provides that just lets me work faster, right? So just some of my thoughts. If you are on the fence about starting to utilize AI tools, do it. Take it from me because I was super resistant. And if I could have that time back, I'd get it back and start working with AI a lot sooner. Anyway, hope you have a good day. See ya.